Everybody, how we doing? It's Mark Ross. It is Tuesday, May 23rd. Oh my gosh, it's almost Memorial Day weekend. Can you believe it? It's a little past noon here on the East Coast. Here are things I am reading and watching today. Marc Bogy in the Le Monde. How about that? It's a little France. Talks about Zelensky. Before he went to the G7 in Japan, he made a stop in Rome. And this column is all about, can Zelensky bring khakis to Rome? Does anybody care? Basically, the whole column is about Zelensky's approach to fashion. As you know, he's been wearing the combat fatigues for quite a long time now. Very distinctive. He's worn them on Capitol Hill. He's worn them in France. He wore them at the G7. The reason why this is all important, I'm a big believer in fashion sends a direct message, right? There's a direct way to wear clothes for certain situations. Zelensky wants to signify that he is a frontline warrior, that he's there with the troops, that he is got a mission that's much more bigger than a suit and tie. So interesting column, something to read about, but very intentional. Obviously, Zelensky is doing this on purpose, and it's not by chance. So interesting thing to think about geopolitically. What are you wearing on the international stage? Another column I'm watching today, the Wall Street Journal has got a profile on Rep. Mike Gallagher. He is from Wisconsin. He is in charge of the Chinese Communist Congressional Committee on Capitol Hill. It's a great profile piece with the big tagline out of this. China hawk comes to Washington, D.C. Corporate boardrooms are shaking. Absolutely 100%. Corporate America has no idea how to talk about the relationship with China. To give you an example, Ford and GM sell more cars in China than they do in North America. Apple, 20% of the revenue comes from China. Nike, 20%. Biggest market outside of the United States for the National Basketball Association, you guessed it, China. Did you know that Coca-Cola has 44 plants in China? Probably not. So a lot of revenues coming out from America's best companies, best brands are actually involved in China, but corporate America doesn't know how to talk about it. Gallagher is filling in the vacuum. Hey, corporate America, if you need help, give me a call. TikTok, the next two stories are really interesting. TikTok, as you know, the state of Montana decided to ban TikTok starting January 1st, 2024. TikTok responded by suing the state of Montana. So we're going to the courts. The reason why this is important for three reasons. One, we're looking at a First Amendment case. I suspect TikTok's case is very strong. I also think there's interstate commerce issues. You know, TikTok is now used as a commercial platform to sell goods and services. Three, TikTok is being banned by a state. So that means a state is taking a supersede of federal international policy. As you know, the federal government is in charge of international foreign policy in the United States. And the fourth thing is data, which is an interesting segue to what happened in the European Union yesterday. Facebook slapped with a huge fine. Meta fined $1.3 billion. What they did, they transferred data. Here we go again, data from Ireland back to the U.S., right? Here's the breakdown. The U.S. has a problem with China taking data from the U.S., going back to Beijing. The EU has a problem with Facebook taking data from Ireland, sending it back to the United States. This is going to be a prevailing issue for the next few years. Data localization, where is data kept, where is service kept, who has access to that data, all good stuff. And in some ways, I would say one thing. The EU has become the default regulator of the internet. They've done this for two reasons. A, they really don't have an internet. There's no comparable Facebook. There's no comparable Google. There's nothing like that. There's no Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. So very easy for the EU to slap fines on American companies. And also, there's a long history. We don't talk about World War II, but they have a long, much more respectable sense of data privacy, what governments are allowed to track, and et cetera. So interesting that if you would have told me at the start of the year, Montana and Brussels would be at the front line of data localization, I would have taken that bet, and you would have won. Another interesting column, if you've got time, dig this out in the Washington Post. Yeah, the Washington Post. Chris Stokol-Walker. He's a thought leader in this space, written several books about what's going on in data, et cetera. His op-ed in the Washington Post is European regulators signal they are fed up with Facebook. I just want to read to you correctly what he finished up with. This is why the fine is a much bigger deal. I mean, money is not a big deal, right? I mean, like Facebook, Meta, et cetera, they're printing money, so not a big deal. So the fine isn't the real story. The real story is it's a shot across the bar in a much bigger geopolitical battle. Geopolitics, as we talked about, Montana, Brussels, TikTok, Facebook, it's all coming together, people. We are in a very interesting geopolitical situation, and it's probably a good time to have somebody who knows something about geopolitical communications. That's me, call me. All right, wrapping up, another geopolitical story. Brooks Koepka, he won the PGA this weekend. Why this is important, obviously he's a great golfer, but he's from the LIV Tour, which is sponsored by Saudi Arabia. So what we have here is the first time somebody from the LIV Tour has won one of the majors. Is this debate over? Are geopolitics been settled on the golf course? I think not, but it's an interesting story. Once again, a lot going on in the world. What a good time to be interested in geopolitics. What a good time to have access to a pro who can help you navigate these crazy worlds. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, enjoy the ride and plan accordingly.